Well, it's a hot day in July again. I think it's the 30th. Not a whole lot of bloom left on canola around here in this heat. Last I checked, it was only about 85 today, so not quite as hot as yesterday. Anyway, I'm headed out to do a little more work on the little patch of summer fallow here near the yard. I had intentions of hitting it with the spikes on the cultivator, but I discovered that wasps have got a nest in the frame, and there's a flat tire at that point on the cultivator where I really need to get to put air in, and of course I can't do it. But we have an alternative. It wasn't my first choice because I wanted to get down and work a little deeper, but the old Massey Ferguson 360 did a surprisingly good job when I tried it here. Damn tree branches. Last week. I couldn't believe how well it cut in, and as you can see, the unworked areas are green as grass with weeds, while the disked areas are good and black. So rather than try to fight the wasps on the cultivator frame or change to the spikes on the bigger deep tillage, I'm going to continue with this. I've been leaving some of these green patches as cattle pasture because, in case you haven't heard, we're having a drought around here. Although looking at the grass on the edge of the field here, my cattle don't seem to be suffering from any shortage of feed. Okay, I gotta get out here. I got the drawbar set in the short position and I cannot see it from my seated position here, so well, it only took 2 tries to get it lined up. So it's your basic drawn implement with a remote cylinder hookup to raise and lower the discs. Coincidentally, this is the same outfit that I used in the spring of 1988 to seed this field. Wow, not many years ago. And it's on YouTube. Check it out sometime. Anyway, I'm gonna roll here. It's slow. It's only 15 feet, and I'm not flying too fast here. One thing for sure, there's no worries on herbicide resistant weeds with this outfit. I'm reminded of an old writer in one of my favorite farm newspapers from a few years back, Grain News, one Elf Bryan. He had some saying along the lines of he's never yet seen a weed that's resistant to steel blades on a hot day in July. Looking at that black ground that I disked, I gotta say he's right, because I'm running into a little herbicide resistance on some of the chem fallow. I got a field across the road that's been sprayed second operation, and there's some big Christmas trees coming up, or survivors out there, and my best guess is it's cleavers, and even the 2,4-D in the chem fallow mix was not enough to kill the cleavers. So that's a little complication for next year. It'll mean a little more herbicide. One thing about this disker, it does require you to actually steer. You can't just drive in the furrow and think that it's going to track itself. It will leave ridges. Okay, we're underway. I'm gonna do some of these patches. I'm not gonna do them all because I still want to leave a little volunteer oats and wild millet here for the cattle to pasture on in the event that it doesn't rain again. They'll be looking for new pasture pretty soon. Up in the distance you can see my oat field from for this year. It's starting to turn already, and weather continues as it is. I should be able to get that harvested, and what straw is needed will be baled, and then I can turn the cattle in there and they'll have a good 60 acres of pasture, which should keep them happy till freeze up, hopefully. So we'll see how that works out. Anyway, I gotta put this camera down and concentrate on what I'm doing. That's some of the clearing I did last fall with the 730 and the blade. Cleared the fence line off. It was 99% dead trees anyway. In the background you can see this year's crop of oats. Actually looked surprisingly good considering the dry conditions here. Planted on summer fallow, of course. Makes a little difference. Had a good moisture reserve to start with, and we have had a few rains come through here to keep it going, but it seems to me it's turning color a little bit early compared to a normal moisture year. Tremendous regrowth of poplars here. I don't know if it's the drought conditions that encourage that or what, but I've seen it in every field. New poplars coming up like crazy. And plenty of old ones coming down thanks to the ice storm in May and the occasional winds we get here. There's one of our problem areas this year. As the sloughs go down, the fallen down fence through them is exposed, and the cattle find a handy place to walk underneath or over top of the wire and get out. So it makes it a little interesting rebuilding the fence in the mud. This one's actually not bad. I did one yesterday where I was literally walking in water and muck, carrying the chainsaw to cut down willows so I could string a new wire. Too hot for that this afternoon, so I'll concentrate on this. Maybe tomorrow morning get back on the fencing job. You can see here where last week the hard ground was a little bit too much for the disker. It didn't cut in and get all the weeds. If your ears are really sharp, you'll hear the occasional musical jingle of hard-tempered steel blades on big rocks. Constantly amazed how those discs can ride over the rocks we got in this country without doing major damage. Yeah, they're smart, hanging out in the shade in the bushes here. Okay, we're gonna call it a day, I think. I left one little or two little patches up on the north side there for pasture for them. I don't think it would amount to more than 5 acres or so. The rest of it is disked down pretty good and black. Ideally we'll get a little rain shower to encourage some new growth for them, and then I'll work up those other 2 patches that are still growing weeds. But there's no rain in the forecast, so we won't hold our breath waiting on that to happen. Anyway, that's about enough for this video, I think. We're gonna call it quits and watch for the next one from the old Roosty 6 channel.